What will it take for you to be like, you know what, enough? I've seen enough, Amorim. You've got to go. Is it the Europa League, or even if you lost it, you wouldn't?
No, I've maintained that I still keep him even if he leads to the Europa League, based on the fact that I want to see him with his own players and I want to see what he could do with it. But at the same time, if he was sacked tomorrow, I've got no complaints. It is what it is. I'm not emotionally connected to him. At the same time, I believe let's see what he could do with some of his players that he knows. And if he could get rid of players, because you got to remember, man, it's all good and well cussing the manager, yeah, but let's be honest, man. The players that we've got in the squad, man. Højlund, Garnacho, like players that are not basically good enough for this squad. Maguire's, Lindelof's. How many of them players, does he really rate? Yes, he's got them and they're there and he's have to use them. But how many of these players do we actually rate? How many of these players are actually his as well? So there's a lot there that he's got. And I'm not going to lie, if you go and get another manager and they do well with them players, that's also a bad thing, because I don't want another manager coming in and trying with them same group of players, and then all of a sudden they get a little bit of a bounce and everyone thinks they're back. I don't want that as well. So for me, I think the squad is absolutely poor. But like I said, if he was to be sacked tomorrow after the opening final, I've got no complaints. It is what it is. But I don't trust this board to have a plan. If they go and get another manager now, I don't expect him to do well, because A, I don't know if he's going to be backed, and B, we don't know what sort of football they're going to be playing. So we're in the mud right now. Really true.
But you see the thing is,
that narrative.
Amorim's a very niche coach. Like the players he wants to bring in, the he wants to build. Niche. Are you sure you'd want to commit to building a squad around Amorim with this style of football? And if the next manager comes in, you're unable to. You have to basically do another rebuild again.
Yeah, that's the risk. But if a club has got their mindset on, right, we're gonna bring in 6 or 7 brand new players in, and they're gonna be fit for what he wants to do, then boom, it should be go time for the manager. It should be. Like, if you get better quality, you should see a better, the quality of what you're trying to do should be better. But at the same time, it's like, bro, sometimes you don't get the money, man. Not every manager gets their players, man. Not everyone does. Sometimes you've got to work with what you've got. And even if you don't, it seems to still be an improvement. And that's the worry for me, because it's becoming normal, these losses now. It's becoming normal.
As well as Saeed, the one thing I do slight Amorim for is I watch a lot of the games, and the goals that you're scoring, the way you guys are winning, I don't look at it and say this is because of Amorim. A lot of it looks like individual brilliance. It looks like using their own initiative. Garnacho getting past a few players, doing some good bits of play himself. It doesn't actually, you don't watch Man United's goals, and like they pointed out, you haven't scored many open playing goals. You don't watch them and say Amorim put this move together, or this is something they've worked on in training. It's never a repeated pattern. Like when you watch Arsenal a lot of times, you can see repeated patterns in the way that they're attacking. You don't watch Amorim and see that from Man United, and it actually pull off, successfully. So that's where I think some of the worries I would be as a Man United fan. I don't think him as a coach so far, his style has actually implemented into the team enough. But also, like you said, if you do look to move on from him, is your club or is your sporting directors, are they lasered into the fact that you're going to play his style of football going forward? Because that's how you're supposed to run and operate, isn't it?
He's too pig-headed. He's too pig-headed. I think he's stubborn. I don't think he's got a plan B at all. It's this 3-4-3. His substitutions are, am I going to put the wing backs as defensive wing backs, or am I going to bring on an attacking wing back? You never see him change the shape, that dramatically in the game to affect it or anything like that. And do you want a manager who hasn't got an alternative formation that he can play? Why is it even my manager, who is an elite level, can play a 3-back within a game? He can change it to a 4-back. Plenty of other managers do. But he's so pig-headed to this formation.
I was going to ask you, do you lot think this formation could succeed in the Premier League? Be honest.
Yeah. I ain't hearing none of this shit, because they said this about Pep when Pep came in. Conte did it in his first year, didn't he? So
if Inzaghi came in, I think he'd do it successfully.
You need players, you need the players. You need the players. But if this is what CB's saying, if you go and give him all these players and then he's shit and then you sack him, you then, because you need specialist players. I said straight away, as soon as this manager came in, Colby Manu will not work in the system.
Boy,
it's the most obvious. If you know ball, yeah, you know that guy ain't going to work in the system, by the way. You don't have what you need to play in that mid. So you need specialist players.
This time last year, he was dominating Liverpool. Let's be honest here, Roms. Remember in the FA Cup and that. Man was running around like enjoying himself. A year later, there's a shadow of himself. I'm like, it's sad because he's a talented player, man.
The thing is that it wasn't even just us. Like, he was showing consistency as to why he got his England call up. I remember the last minute goal against Wolves. There was other performances there. And like LB said, he looks a shadow of himself. And LB, you actually called it. The minute this manager came in, he said, you know what? I don't think Mano will work. I actually thought he would, because I think if you're just quality, regardless of your surroundings, to cream rise to the top, but he hasn't worked. Obviously, injury as well hasn't helped him. But yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know with this formation. But I do feel like maybe not really a 3-4-3 in my opinion. I think maybe more of a 3-5-2. Because even, I don't want to bring my club into it, but even if we get Frimpong and Kirkes and whatnot, I want to see a formation change next season personally. So I feel like, I don't know if 3-4-3 works in the Prem. I feel like you'll need to pack your midfield because it's a very high octane league.
You need engines in that midfield, man. In that,
you
need
legs.
That's why I think you need to pack it, LB. I think you need three.
Labour side from fucking Brighton. You need off the ball monsters. You need engines, guys who can get up and down, tackle everything. That's what you need. You need engines, man.
Yeah.
But don't you not think that, like, I know you're saying the formation side, but for me, a 3-4-3 in this league specifically obviously can work in other leagues. I don't think two midfielders are enough, and I think your wide men will be wing backs. They're not going to be that industrious type of midfielder. That's why I think three in the middle is better.
But that's why, Roms, I think the way to caveat is, and that's what I said in Zaghi in particular, is because you have someone like a Bastoni, or you have someone who can play in that centre role, who can drop into that midfield and play as like a 6 and, sweep in front of the defense. They've got to be really good on the ball and step up high, like Romero or someone like that. But yeah, no, I think.
But it's like that one said in the chat about Palace. Yeah, Glasner's come in. He came in straight away end of last season in his formation. Without his players, switched it up. I saw Eddie Howe yesterday against Chelsea start with the back three like it was nothing. I think too much is talked about this 3-4-3 formation. I just don't think he knows how to coach these players into it. The key is what LB is saying about is the players, it's the players. Fine. But he's had, 6 months now? I have not seen improvement in these players.
No, I didn't say that.
No, you're saying the players for the system and what have you, yeah?
I think you need players for the system, but you should still be getting, Amorim should still be getting a bare minimum.
Exactly. And also a level of improvement. If he's been coaching them for 6 months into this system, if you put their first game versus their game yesterday, I wouldn't tell you. I can tell you which came first.
No, I agree. I'm not saying it's all the players, but the point I'm making is if United cannot have a mad successful season with this manager, with these players. So I'm blaming the players in terms of like the overall situation. However, Amorim is still mad underperforming, and he should be getting a bad.
He is. This year, you know what it is, bro. You can't say like people don't have the right to be hammering out when really and true. These amount of losses they're too much, bro. They're ridiculous. So I really like don't like. I'm not arguing against people who are hammering out. Like, if you man hammering out like that, you're more than justified because at the end of the day, these amount of losses are just too much. You get me? So
what are you saying, Saeed? Do you hammering doubt?
No, I think for me, like, it's like people want me to be hammering out here, but it's like I just don't trust this board, man, to get the right replacement.
That's not a reason, though, to keep a manager.
Exactly. This is what the Clear Lake fans say, man. This is the Maresca fans.
Now, the thing is, when I look at the manager here and I look at the players that we've got in right now, I still look at the player quality and I'm like, bro, it's shit, man. So I'm just like, let's see this manager get his players and then let's go from there. That's
how long are you giving him next year?
October.
Well, let's see. He could turn it around. Like, we're not saying that he can't turn it around. He can turn it around. But I just look at it and I'm like, I think it's too simplistic to go. Hammering out, we're back. I really do. I really. And a lot of people, cool. Yeah, your manager out. But I just look at everything right now and I think the manager is one part of the problem. The whole problem is not on Amorim. It really isn't, man. That's how I'm looking at the club. I've been Ten Hag out. I've been Oli out. I've been every manager out here. And I always looked at the manager as being the big problem. And now I'm starting to say, you know what? Really and truly, Is it just the manager every time? Is it?
But that's the only variable. That's the only variable.
Is it every year the manager's the problem though? Every year.
No, I was gonna say that, Said. I can't even lie. Like at one point, you do have to accept like everything's going on Man United for a long time. It's the players just aren't good.
Yeah, but George, right? For example, look at your
club.
We all know that the major issue at your football club is the owner, the board, and league.
The owners.
But that does not mean you just keep hands.
I agree.
Exactly.
That's why I've said if the manager was sacked tomorrow, I couldn't complain. But why I want people to understand that I'm taking a different kind of perspective on things is that we found it easy just to always blame the manager. It's a comfort blanket. So where I've kind of changed the mindset is, right, why is it always the manager's failing? What's going on? Is there a deeper issue to this? And if that's on you as a fan to judge it that way, if you think, right, manager out and I just want a new manager to come in, a different feeling, that's on you. But I just look at it and I think, yo, there are deeper problems to just sacking a manager. Because we could be here, Javi's at the wheel, cool. Everyone gets behind the manager. He struggles 6-7 months in. Everyone wants him out. So we can get names. I can come in and say, yo, this guy's the best things in sliced bread. Cool, let's get another manager. But bro, we keep doing this every year, man.
But I would understand though if the failure was at the same level, like with the previous managers. That, for example, under Jose, the level of failure, the standards were higher. You were trying to win the league, you won Europa League, stuff like that. Or even under Ole, you were going Europa League final, same to be fair, but you were finishing second in the league. But that was considered failure. This level of failure is unprecedented. No one saw this coming and it's never been seen before. And then I look at when it comes to Amorim, what exactly is his ceiling under him? Do you think you can win a league title? Because those were the failures under the previous managers.
Win a league title under any manager.
But then you're willing to put yourself through this where you're accepting 20 losses or 16 losses.
Like, I don't know if you've seen it yet. Man United just published something saying that we're going to aim to finish top 6 next season. Like that.
That's the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they're saying now. They're saying top 6 is what we're doing. And so I don't know what the remit is for the football club. So we say like, yo, okay, cool. This is the standards for Man United. It's like, cool. But what is the standards for the club? What is the standards? We don't know yet. Are we a top 4 club?
2028.
Sorry?
When they saying win it 2028, wasn't that the target? So their standards are dropping.
I think that's
Omar Barada waffling.
I think they've realised for that is not happening.
I look at it like, listen, we can sack the manager tomorrow. Cool, we have a clean slate. It is what it is.